Hi there, my name is Jake Riley, and today I am going to be talking about multiplayer level design with the Destiny multiplayer map Frontier. Destiny is a multiplayer looter shooter with a variety of experiences available. This can range from low-level activities where players can explore an environment on a planet and complete objectives at their leisure, to intense communication-focused activities where success or failure is determined by moment-to-moment actions. This game also includes an array of player versus player experiences as well. For more traditional modes such as Clash, the equivalent to Team Deathmatch, to nuanced 3 versus 3 modes such as Skirmish and Salvage. With a variety of game modes to experience, the player also has an array of maps to pick from, each with their own style and design. Today we will be looking at the map Frontier, a map that takes place on Earth somewhere in the region of Russia. The map opens up with a brief cutscene, akin to an establishing shot showing the player where they will be fighting. Depending on where the player ends up on the teams, they can either spawn in a concrete tunnel or in a metal building, both of which are slightly darker when compared to the outside areas, with the focus of the player being on the bridge. The bridge is the centerpiece of the map, and is one of many choke points where the players will come to fight each other. In game modes such as Clash and Supremacy, this is where most of the fighting breaks out when a match starts. Both sides have a sight line of each other's spawn exits by going down the central path toward the bridge. These sight lines from these points have pieces of cover that are used by players using sniper rifles. Due to the long sight lines of this map, an initial sniper duel between 2 or more players is likely to occur. While Frontier may be an abandoned facility somewhere in the middle of Russia, the scenery around it doesn't give the map that tone. The surrounding scene is a large lake fed by a stream, and the map itself is just beneath a large mountain with an observatory just to the east. While the location's abandoned nature would make a player feel a sense of unease and hopelessness, the lighting of the map's default time makes it feel grand and adventurous, even somewhat beautiful. The player can hear the rushing of the stream when they pass by, and aside from their opponents, the map is quiet and peaceful. Frontier has a few major landmarks that dictate where you are, such as the water tower, bridge, and the lake. The bridge is also home to the focal objectives for several game modes, such as Rift, a spin on the Capture the Flag game mode, and Salvage, a game mode where players recover relics and revive each other for points. This draws players more to the bridge in these modes than the map structure already does. The bridge also offers a view into the B capture zone on Control, giving players who hold the bridge an eye on players who may be capturing it. Consequently, this also gives people trying to capture that zone a window into the bridge, so it gives them a chance to take the people out of the bridge first. The bridge is also the central hub of the map's Figure 8 flow, giving the players options for their movement aside from going straight forward. The Figure 8 flow is also centered around another aspect of the setting, that being a small stream that goes underneath the bridge. This landmark is where the Figure 8 flow of the map comes from. A player can choose to make the loop from one side to the other by taking an underpass underneath the bridge and all the foot traffic that it gets. This can lead to moments where the player gets a flank on the enemy and can capture a zone or take out a group without being noticed. This landmark also acts as a means to measure where the player is in relation to both sides of the map, as the river divides the both sides into two. The river also leads into the lake, which is another landmark. I'll talk about both the lake and the water tower together, as they serve the same dual purpose, that being to show the player the location of the heavy ammo spawns on the map, and to show them which side they're on. The river too can be a choke point, as it is a pathway that leads underneath the bridge and directly from one spawn location of heavy ammo to another. There are 3 kinds of flow for this map that a player can use. That being a large circular zero-like motion, a Figure 8-like movement using the bridge as the middle, and a direct rush from the left, right, and center lanes of the map. The middle pathway giving the player an eye towards their enemies as they emerge from their spawn, giving them an idea for where they may end up, or they could get killed by a sniper rifle waiting on the opposite side. These, however, are suggestions for how the player can move about the space, as the player has access to a double jump that can make them go above any terrain that can pose as an obstacle to them, so that they can create their own paths toward their objective and get the jump on the enemy. With that in mind, let's talk a bit more about the verticality of the map. Players are in theory able to use their double jump abilities in order to use various pieces of cover and objects to create their own sightlines and angles to fire at unsuspecting opponents. Regarding small pieces of cover, such as trucks, crates, and hills, this is true. However, this is not the case with regards to the landmarks. The bridge has several crates nearby that allow the player to jump on top of it, yet if they sit on top of the structure for too long, they will die, the cause of their death being a misadventure, or exiting the game's bounds. This, along with the placement of some box colliders on some objects, prevents the player from creating non-linear pathways on this map. These boundaries are set up to prevent players from attacking each other from angles that deviate from the pathways as laid out by the map. The bounds intentionally reduce the way that the players can move as to keep the game fair for other players, as there could be some areas that others can access which offer them an unfair advantage, such as holding the top of the bridge. The bridge, if there were no soft kill barrier, would make for a position that would allow players to control the entire map, including taking out other players inside of their spawns. While these don't impact the moment-to-moment gameplay, the map in this instance doesn't take advantage of the player's ability to create non-linear pathways themselves. However, from what I can understand based on my exploration of this map, this was intentional, as all of the angles that the players can be attacked from are visible from their field of view. Having to look up for opponents in the rafters of a building would lead to more player deaths than players enjoying the experience. As far as angles and lanes are concerned, there are a number of angles that players can attack from when it comes to the map's main choke point, which is the bridge and to the left and right of it. For example, from the bridge, there are 4 ways to look out toward the enemy, one facing each of the flag objective spawns in control, and one facing the outer lake on the out of bounds. Both of the main pathways on the bridge have access to 2 doorways that peter out in opposite directions, both of which are looking toward one of the most important affordances of the map, that being the spawn locations of heavy ammo. There are 2 different kinds of ammo crates that spawn in Destiny's multiplayer, that being special ammo crates and heavy ammo crates. Heavy ammo is a special interactive object on every Destiny map, which causes the attention of some players to divert toward it when they hear the announcer say the words, "heavy ammo inbound." The reason being that heavy ammo offers the player access to the most powerful weapons in their arsenal, that being rocket launchers, swords, machine guns, and one incredibly powerful laser cannon. The spawns for heavy ammo are on opposite sides of this map, with them spawning at around 2 to 3 minute intervals. These boxes are marked on the player's HUD for both sides of the map so that they don't miss them. Special ammo crates are spawned on both sides of the map, 2 for each team, and spawn more frequently than heavy ammo, as special weapons require more risk than heavy. Sniper rifles have a long range but can only kill with 1 shot to the head of an enemy. Shotguns have a lot of stopping power but can only be used at a close distance. Fusion rifles are more mid-range but require a charge time and hitting most pellets on target. Sidearms are a mid to close range weapon that take more bullets to kill an enemy than others, but they allow the player to spawn in with special ammo. What is important to mention when it comes to the spawn locations for these is how the heavy ammo location is asymmetrically visible. When looking at heavy ammo spawn locations from the spawn of Bravo team, the player has an easier line of sight at the crate and can take shots at players trying to claim it, whereas Alpha doesn't have that luxury from either one of its doorways that Heavy would be visible from. However, in the moment, this isn't an issue, as players, due to heavy ammo's importance, will more than likely be running for the crate as soon as they can, rather than wait for a moment to take a shot for a free kill. There is an advantage for Alpha, however, when it comes to lacking sightline on this resource. The terrain on both heavy spawns prevents the players from sniping at each other from the left and right pathways immediately, which allows weapons like shotguns and fusion rifles to have their own viability on the map. While Frontier may have longer sightlines which encourage long-range firefights, the player is not restricted to using that specifically, as there are still ways for them to flank the enemy and use closer quarters weapons with melee attacks. This can work especially well if most of the enemy is using weapons that require more precision, such as sniper rifles and other semi-automatic weapons. This is what can summarize a typical round of Frontier's gameplay. It opens up with players running toward the bridge and using sniper rifles to take out whoever they can on the opposite side before falling themselves. In choosing to use some of the terrain and pathing to flank the enemy, some players may be lucky and get the drop on their opponent, or someone could be expecting them coming through and take them out quickly. What makes Frontier interesting and fun is the bridge and the chaos that comes from both sides rushing across it. This chaos is usually every player from both sides throwing their grenades at once, and then following up with fire from either their primary or special weapons. From a level design perspective, I found it to be interesting because of the way that the out of bounds conflict with the game's movement for the balance of the mode and keeping the immersion. If the players were to get high up on the map, they would see that the train tracks don't lead off into the distance, and that the mouth of the stream doesn't have any water in it at all. This is a compromise that you need to make when creating a multiplayer map. How do you keep players in bounds without them seeing something that they shouldn't? You do it with colliders and soft kill barriers. Thank you.